And I remember there was one thing he said that I remember in his message that rings through my brain constantly. He said, "We are the hands of God." And I leaned over to Lynn and I said, "What a great sermon title. God with jazz hands." And so every time I see Clark's picture on Facebook or I hear his name, in my mind I see God with jazz hands. So our speaker this morning is God with jazz hands.
The Jazz Hands of God, a memoir by Clark Hawley. I've been looking for a title for that, and here it just gets delivered to me. Thank you so much. I am so happy to be here. I am so happy. Oh, I have an announcement. Hi, live streaming people. If you're one of the people in our center who has the Wi-Fi password, disconnect now, because we need bandwidth. That means something to somebody somewhere. And I think I understand a little fraction, but if you're one of those people, you know what I'm talking about. Other than that, don't worry about it. Okay, live streaming. I've never live streamed before. I'm a live stream, well, a minute ago I was a live stream version, but not anymore. I'm happy to be here for so many reasons. I am happy. This sounds really, really, really juvenile, but I'm happy because I'm happy. I've spent so many years being depressed and struggling and working and fighting and being a crusader and all the things that I did, that I'm trying to get used to being happy. Seriously, I really cannot go now more than 2 or 3 days without something happening that brings me to joyful tears. This is a great way to live. It really, really, truly is. Somebody looked at me this morning and said, "You're always so goddamn happy." No, actually, I'm not always, but I am now. And this philosophy has a lot to do with that. I'm sitting here and I've got a grin, big as a mile, because this is here. I've been talking about this for years, and it's here, and you've got somebody doing the PowerPoint, and we need to go to the next slide. Because instead of having my name, I have a picture of another gray-haired, bearded man. Always remember, your focus determines your reality. Today's topic title is "The Force is in You." It's a Star Wars themed talk that I was given. Here's the topic, here's the outline from home office. It's wonderful. Star Wars has a lot of meaning in my life. I was just talking to Mama Moore yesterday, who was telling me about Dr. David Walker from the Los Angeles church, who was friends with George Lucas. And there's no place to set this. Oh, look at this. "Ask, and it shall be given to you. Seek, and ye shall find. Knock, and the door shall be opened to you." Hallelujah. Dr. David Walker ran into George Lucas. Apparently, big Los Angeles church, and George Lucas would come in and out, and they were at the same event once, and Dr. Walker said, "I saw a picture of you in your study in Time magazine, and on the shelf behind you was a copy of The Science of Mind. Did it have any influence on you?" And he says, "What do you think the Force is?" There is only one power, one source, one energy, one life force, and I am a part of it. There's only one dance being danced. And in that dance, I am leaps and bounds and jumps and twirls and, yes, jazz hands. And what I know for myself, I can know for you. And I'm grateful for that. When I got to Vallejo, when I moved from Porterville to Vallejo, I rented a U-Haul, and I got the extra insurance, but I did not realize that the extra insurance does not cover you if you have any accident or damage above the head. Any damage you do to the truck above, it doesn't cover. I found this out because, yes, I can tell you that the walkway on the way to the gas station that went from the parking lot to the mall is about an inch shorter than the top of the U-Haul that I had. And I did nearly $2,000 worth of damage. It makes one wonder, did I make the right choice? When your first experience in a new place is going and finding out that you thought you were covered and you're not covered, you've done $2,000 worth of damage, and I was just like kind of just shaking my head and wondering if I had done the right thing. And then I got on the bus in front of the U-Haul, because there's a bus that runs every half hour from where I wanted to the corner where I live. It's like a block and a half away. I mean, it's amazing. It's an amazing thing. I get on the bus, and I'm wearing a Star Wars t-shirt. And the bus driver looks at me and says, "Stay." She didn't say stay. I get on the bus with my Star Wars t-shirt, and she says, "My birthday is May the 4th. May the 4th be with you. First of all, I'm not used to bus drivers that talk to you. I'm not used to bus drivers that smile. I'm definitely not used to bus drivers that are Star Wars fans. And being told somebody's birthday as I walk onto a bus, I thought, I'm in the right place. I'm in the right place. Ernest Holmes wrote, "We are all surrounded by an all-seeing, all-knowing mind, which is one and runs through all. The belief in the dual mind has destroyed practically all philosophies and religions of the ages, and will continue to do so until the world comes to see that there is only one. Whatever name it's given, it's still but one. It's the one that creates us, that creates for us, that creates through us whatever we believe. Our thought operates through this one and produces all of our affairs. We are the centers. We are all centers in this mind, centers of thought and creativity. There is nothing which appears in the manifest universe other than an objectified thought, whether it's a bump in your head, a growth on your foot, or a planet. It could not be there were it not made out of mind. For mind is all there is to make anything out of. Whatever is made of it. Nothing exists or can exist without a source from which it springs." It's kind of funny being a speaker. I love being able to share with people and remind people of their wonder and their grace and their power. But really, in Science of Mind, there's really only about 10 sermons. It's only about 10 talks, and everything comes back to it. There's one. We are a part of it. There's a power in the universe, and we can use it. In the beginning, there was God. In the beginning, there was. And when God's Spirit creative force, majesty, wonder, when it started to make everything that there is, there was only one substance to use. There was only God. It was all there. So everything we are is God. The reason why we come every week, even though there's only 10 basic sermons, is because we leak. Our brains leak.
Yep.
We forget. And we're not alone. I mean, the example of the Force is particularly appropriate because before you become a Jedi Master, I've got some real Star Wars nerds in here because I said Jedi Master. I saw eyes sparkle. To become a Jedi Master, you have to connect with the Force. Use the Force, Luke. And you remember, those of you who are fans, the scene of Luke doing his Jedi Master training with Yoda in the swamplands, and he's doing push-ups with Yoda on his hand, and he's doing all this, and he's running, and he's jumping, and he's having a great time, and he's connecting with the Force. And then he tries to lift his vehicle. Somebody here knows what it is. The X-Wing. Thank you very much. Love you. He tries to lift the X-Wing, and he sees it coming up, and he feels the power, and then it sinks. Luke Skywalker is just like us. We need to be reminded that there is really only one power. There is really only one source. We must relearn and practice and go back to basics. People who have been around Science of Mind for 10, 20, 30 years, sometimes they kind of get an attitude. Like people who've been in any organization for 10, 20, 30 years, there's the old timers, us wise ones, and the new ones. Dr. Peggy Bassett, who was a Science of Mind minister, was present for a conversation where somebody made one of those comments about us more seasoned and matured practitioners and those, who are just learning the basics. And Peggy Bassett sat up tall, gave the look. It's always about the basics. Because that's what it is. It's always about the basics. We need to remember. It's as basic as remembering that we're all energy. Want to prove it? Go ahead. If you want to. The energy was not there until you created it. You transformed it. You had that heat in your body. You're alive, you're vibrant, you're here, and you created that energy. In the very same way, you're a meaningful part of this universe. You're a meaningful part, and you create the life you choose to create. I had a conversation in the checkout line, because I always think, I look and see what their names are, and I say, hi, Barbara, and how are you doing today? How are you doing? I'm amazing, just like you. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. And she was like, you just made my day. And then she starts talking, and I said, basic philosophy, basic science of mind. I wake up every morning, and I get to choose what story I write. And I write the story that I'm amazing, and you're all amazing. Looked at her because she works with the public, and I kind of said, sometimes people aren't amazing in a nice way. It's just the reality. But we are amazing. We might need to remind ourselves that spirit is energy, love, kindness, compassion. I can tell you I purposefully did not open Facebook, check the TV, any kind of news before I came here today. Because I was feeling great. And I wanted to stay there. And it's really hard, you know. I mean, I actually spoke the morning after the Pulse nightclub disaster in Florida, and we rubbed our hands. And I asked somebody who had an internal compass which way Florida was, so we could send the energy that way. I didn't want that to happen. Feeling way, way, way too good. What gets in the way then? If we are amazing expressions of the one, why aren't we living victorious lives sometimes? Why did it take till I was 55 to live in a place of such utter happiness that I weep for joy every few days over something? The answer, a long time ago, people used to believe, I know there are people now that still believe this, and we won't go there, but they used to believe that the world was flat. And so flat maps really worked well for them because they thought the world was flat. And beyond the boundaries of all the known maps, they draw a big line and put outside of the line, here the dragons are. Fear. The only thing that keeps us from experiencing the life that we were destined, that boils up from us, that is embedded in our DNA, the only thing that keeps us from doing that is fear. And how do we combat fear? Focus. Focus. If you focus on the dragons, and you focus on the fear, and you focus on the nobody's been there before, you're going to experience the fear. But if you focus on what is the original essence of all, if you focus on that, you're focusing on love. And if you focus on love, your life will bring more love to you. We create our own dragons of fear, lack, and limitation when we stay within our own boundaries. What did it take for the entire concept of all of humanity to change from a flat map with borders and here lie the dragons to knowing that we're a sphere, a beautiful blue gem spinning around in this cosmic dance of the solar system, the universe, and the cosmos. The way that we got there is somebody kept sailing. Somebody kept sailing. They didn't pay any attention to the fear and the limitation. They just kept sailing. My message to you is quite simple. Whatever you're going through, keep sailing. I wish Anthony Bourdain had kept sailing. I wish Kate Spade had kept sailing. I wish some of my friends who experienced suicide very close in their life, I wish that they had kept sailing. Because suicide is a resolution that is absolutely permanent to a problem that is always temporary. How do I know that? Everything's always temporary. We don't live, well, a lot of people do, that's why they're miserable. They live in the past, or they live in the future. And we don't We don't live there. Really and truly, right here and right now, I'm here in this moment, looking at some of the most wonderful, bright, and happy faces. Why am I happy today? I am just a good mirror, and you are all amazing. We are creating in every moment. So why can't we just be intentional about what we create? Somebody told me one day that if you express gratitude, that the power of the universe acts like a magnet, and that you will get more of whatever you're expressing gratitude for. And that you put ideas out into the universe, and the universe just says yes. So if you say, I'm not good enough, the universe says yes. If you say, I want to drive a Tesla, the universe says yes. If you say, I want to be happy, the universe says yes. And if I say, I am grateful for every moment of my life, I am grateful that I have a partner that loves me. I'm grateful that I have 3 dogs, even though I don't want more dogs. I want more of the dogs that I have, including the one that's nearly 13 and is the sweetest angel that the universe has ever produced. Whatever you want, it's okay. You can have it. You can live life to the absolute fullest. Matthew Fox said, for every science there must be a technique or a way of proving its truth. We must lay even more stress on the use of the science of mind than we do on seeking to establish the principle. The first thing that any student of the science should do is determine to make daily use of it. In this, as in all other things, we should be practical. Too much study of any principle without making a conscious use of it will lead us to more theorizing, and I'm sure we all prefer practical results. And I'm going to tell you from my own personal experience. By the way, I'm going to take some credit. This is what I'm going to brag about today. I invited Tim to this center. He came on my invitation. I'm not going to mention that we met each other on gay.com in a chat room. Oh, I just did, to everybody. And I've also dated myself for all of you techie people because nobody has used gay.com for 10 years. But anyway, so that's my brag. I invited him. Thank you. But I'm living in this place right now where I'm experiencing the realities of this philosophy. I'm manifesting the science of mind in every day. It's stunning. If anybody gets up, though, in front of you and starts bragging about it, they're not really doing it. Because what happens when you're living this full and vibrant life is that it is so humbling. You can't be all puffed up when you're constantly in a state of wonder and awe. What I've been able to experience in my life, and believe me, I was a chronic depressive wreck. And the transformation, it's just miraculous. It's so ordinary that it's miraculous. We each can do this. Each and every one of us, we can do this. We can wake up in the morning, and before we get out of bed, we can say a couple of things that we're grateful for. For, me, it's that I can still get out of bed by myself. This is another thing about science of mind that I'm dealing with right now, because we're all perfect, whole, and complete, and health is the underlying truth, and illness and symptoms are basically illusory. Except I live in this world where people get old. You know, they don't necessarily get old and die, but we at least get old. I sound like a bowl of Rice Krispies when I move in the morning. I wake up and I move and I get out of bed and it's snap, crackle, pop. All over everywhere. And it's like, the old judgmental part of me is like, well, you're not a very good practitioner. You know, you're not living these principles. I haven't worked it out, okay? I have not worked out the answer of, you know, how to balance we're all perfect, wonderful, whole, and complete, healthy, underlining, because I've seen some really, really, really miraculous healings in my life. And so I understand that healing happens and that it's I do not understand snap, crackle, pop. And I don't understand how 2 years ago, I could spend 10 days in Disney parks and walk 9 to 10 miles a day and have a great time and sleep like a log. But this year, going from the top of Central Park to the bottom of Central Park, walking 4 miles, I felt it the next day. I went on a rock and roll tour of Greenwich Village the next day, and I was leaning when he started to talk. I was like, let me lean. So I haven't worked that out. But I can tell you I am happy. I'm working on staying there because I leak. Abraham Hicks said, that is the optimal creative vantage point. To stand on the brink of what is coming, feeling eager and optimistic anticipation, with no feeling of impatience or doubt or unworthiness hindering the receiving of it. That is the science of deliberate creation at its best. That eager anticipation. That's where I am. That's where I hope I've given you a window of where you can be. And I know with everything that's in me, if I can do it, any fool can. And for that, I am eternally grateful. And so it is.
I have a lot of material for my next introduction of him. Just keep sailing. I love that. Because even though you can't see what's over the edge of the horizon, there's still a vision you have in your mind, right? This place at one point in time was nothing but a vision. This was nothing but a vision. Our own experience here started out as a vision. So how do we keep that vision going? We support it. So I'm going to ask the ushers to come forward to collect our offerings, our support of the visions. And we've got a lot of them. We're just at the edge. We're getting ready to sail into that unknown, and it's okay, because we know there's nothing to fear. I almost forgot. Let's read our offering affirmation. From the love of pure spirit within me, I bless this gift. I send it forth to heal and bless and prosper. It is evidence of my faith and belief. It does good work in the world and turns to me multiplied abundantly. I'm going to ask Doug to come back and not be Kimberly. There you go. But we get another commercial for it.